Did you ever imagine that one ordinary morning could quietly become the moment you realize your body is no longer playing by the rules you trusted for decades? That the hands you once relied on without thinking now hesitate? That the mind that carried entire households, careers, and families on its back suddenly blanks out on the simplest name? And no one warned you it would feel this personal, this unsettling, this brutally humbling? Because here's the truth nobody says out loud. Aging doesn't knock politely. It doesn't send a manual, and it certainly doesn't ask for permission. It shows up in subtle betrayals, in forgotten words mid-sentence, in energy that evaporates before noon, in joints that negotiate every staircase like it's a contract, and if you're not prepared mentally, it can shake your confidence to the core, but before fear takes over. Understand this clearly and powerfully. You are not broken. You are not alone, and you are not powerless. You are experiencing a transition that millions walk through silently. And today, we're dragging that silence into the light with honesty, intensity, and solutions that actually work. Because pretending these changes don't exist only makes them stronger. But facing them head-on gives you back control. Imagine Robert, 68 years old, once the unstoppable force in every room, the guy who fixed everything, remembered everything, handled everything. Now standing in his driveway, trying to recall the name of a neighbor he's known for 10 years, forcing a smile to hide the embarrassment burning behind his eyes, laughing it off while inside wondering, is this the beginning of the end? That moment hits harder than any physical pain, because it challenges identity, and identity is sacred. But here's what Robert discovered and what you need to hear. Memory slips are common, not catastrophic, and the brain, like muscle, responds to intentional use. Writing names down immediately after meeting someone, repeating them in conversation, connecting them to vivid mental images, using digital reminders before social events. These aren't signs of weakness. They're strategies of intelligence, and the strongest people adapt instead of deny. Then there's the exhaustion that seems to arrive without warning. The kind that makes a simple grocery trip feel like a marathon. The kind that whispers, slow down. You're not who you used to be, and that whisper can become dangerous if you interpret it as defeat instead of information. Because your body isn't quitting on you, it's asking for rhythm instead of rush, for pacing instead of pushing, for hydration, balanced meals, quality sleep, and structured breaks instead of the all-or-nothing energy patterns of youth. Spreading tasks throughout the day, fueling with protein-rich foods, staying consistently hydrated, incorporating light daily movement rather than sporadic intense effort. These are not small tweaks. They are energy management systems that restore stamina over time. And when you stop fighting your body and start collaborating with it, exhaustion becomes manageable instead of overwhelming. And what about the scale creeping upward, even though your habits haven't drastically changed? The frustration of doing everything right, yet watching your waistline expand as metabolism quietly slows its engine, making it easier to store and harder to burn, especially around the midsection, which feels unfair after decades of discipline, but fairness was never the contract. Adaptation was, and that means adjusting portion sizes, prioritizing whole foods over processed convenience, increasing protein to preserve muscle mass, adding strength training 2 to 3 times a week to protect metabolism. Because muscle is metabolic currency, and losing it accelerates decline, while preserving it protects independence. And speaking of independence, nothing rattles confidence like needing more doctor appointments than you ever did before. Calendars filling with checkups, lab work, screenings, consultations, making life feel like a series of medical reminders. But flip the perspective. Frequent monitoring is not a sentence. It's a shield. Early detection is power. Proactive care is strategy, and organizing appointments with a dedicated health planner. tracking medications carefully, writing down questions before visits. These actions transform overwhelm into control. Because health management is not weakness, it's leadership over your own future. Then comes the foggy focus, the book you reread 3 times because your mind drifts. The conversation where you lose the thread halfway through. And that frustration can quietly erode self-trust. Yet neuroscience confirms that cognitive engagement strengthens neural pathways at any age. Meaning puzzles, reading in focused intervals, learning new skills, practicing instruments, even challenging conversations stimulate growth. And combined with physical exercise, which increases blood flow to the brain, plus quality sleep and nutrient-dense nutrition, you create an environment where your mind stays sharper longer. Because decline is influenced by habits more than headlines. And the loneliness, perhaps the most unspoken ache of all, as friends relocate. Social circles shrink or loved ones pass away, leaving quiet spaces where laughter once lived. And that silence can echo loudly if you let it. But connection does not require a massive circle. It requires consistent interaction. Whether through community groups, volunteer programs, faith gatherings, hobby classes, or even online communities that share your interests. Because human beings are wired for connection, and small, meaningful exchanges protect emotional health more than grand gestures. Mobility shifts too. Joints stiffen, balance wavers. Bending feels calculated instead of casual. And it's tempting to reduce activity out of fear. Yet inactivity accelerates the very decline you're trying to avoid. So gentle stretching daily, strength training for legs and core, balance exercises, walking, water aerobics, yoga, these are not optional luxuries. They are investments in autonomy. And consistency beats intensity every single time. Sleep may betray you as well. Nights fragmented, mind racing at 2 a.m. Mornings arriving without restoration, but establishing a fixed sleep schedule. Reducing late caffeine, limiting screen exposure before bed, creating a cool, dark environment, practicing relaxation breathing. These habits retrain your circadian rhythm gradually. And if issues persist, professional evaluation can uncover treatable causes. Because restful sleep is foundational, not negotiable. Vision blurs, hearing dulls, conversations in crowded rooms become exhausting puzzles of guesswork. And pride might resist glasses or hearing aids. Yet these tools are not symbols of aging. They are bridges back to full participation. And regular eye and hearing exams ensure you stay connected instead of quietly withdrawing. Temperature sensitivity intensifies. Summers feel oppressive, winters cut deeper. But layering clothing strategically, optimizing indoor climate, using breathable fabrics or thermal support, these adjustments maintain comfort and protect health. Emotions may feel closer to the surface too. Patience thinner, irritability quicker. Not because you've become bitter, but because hormonal shifts, neurological changes, and accumulated stress amplify reactions. Yet mindfulness practices, gratitude journaling, deep breathing, and pausing before responding rebuild emotional regulation. And emotional strength is trainable at any age. And perhaps the most emotionally charged challenge is the gradual shift in independence. A moment you need help carrying something heavy, managing complex technology, or handling tasks that once felt effortless, and pride resists. But redefining independence as the ability to direct your life, not necessarily do every task alone, restores dignity. Because delegating strategically preserves energy for what truly matters. And accepting assistance when needed is wisdom, not surrender. Aging is not a single dramatic event. It's a series of adjustments, some subtle, some sharp, but none insurmountable when met with awareness and action. And the difference between decline and resilience often lies in mindset plus daily habits compounded over time. So if you're recognizing yourself in these realities, don't retreat into silence. Don't label yourself as fading. Don't assume this is the beginning of irrelevance. This is evolution. And evolution demands adaptation, not despair. Your experience, your memories, your wisdom are assets no younger generation can replicate. And maintaining your physical, mental, and emotional health ensures those assets continue shaping the world around you. The narrative that aging equals helplessness is outdated and incomplete. Because strength at this stage looks different. It looks like scheduling that checkup instead of avoiding it. Like choosing a balanced meal over comfort food. Like walking daily even when motivation dips. Like calling a friend instead of isolating. Like practicing patience with yourself when memory slips occur. Like using tools unapologetically to stay engaged. Like asking for help strategically rather than silently struggling. Every one of these actions compounds into stability, and stability builds confidence, and confidence sustains independence. So here's the aggressive truth delivered with respect. Ignore these shifts, and they will control you. Confront them, and you control the trajectory. Because aging is not about preventing every change. It's about managing change intelligently. You are not the only one navigating this terrain. Millions are walking it alongside you, and open conversations replace fear with strategy. If this message resonates, don't dismiss it as just another video. Internalize it. Share it with someone who needs reassurance. Commit to one actionable improvement today. Whether that's a short walk, a phone call, scheduling an appointment, organizing medications, starting a sleep routine, or simply forgiving yourself for a forgotten name. Because momentum begins with one deliberate step. Aging may alter the landscape, but it does not erase your value, your capability, or your potential for fulfillment. And the chapter you're in now can be defined by awareness, resilience, and intentional living rather than quiet frustration. So stand tall in this season, adapt boldly, protect your health fiercely, nurture your connections intentionally, and remember that growing older is not the loss of life, it is the continuation of it. Refined, seasoned, and still powerfully yours.